The hotel lobby was packed with people checking in for the business conference. Maya stood at the counter, tapping her credit card against her palm, while the receptionist typed away at the computer. She'd been traveling for 6 hours, and all she wanted was a hot shower and a comfortable bed. "I'm so sorry, ma'am," the receptionist said, looking genuinely apologetic. "There seems to be an issue with your reservation. We're completely overbooked tonight." Maya felt her stomach drop. "What do you mean overbooked?" "I booked this room 3 months ago." The receptionist kept typing, her face worried. "I know, and I apologize. The system shows your booking. But we had a water leak on the 4th floor yesterday. We've had to relocate guests. And now we're short on rooms." Before Maya could respond, a voice behind her spoke up. "Excuse me. I couldn't help overhearing. I'm also here for the conference. If it helps, I don't mind sharing if that's the only option." Maya turned around and saw a man about her age, probably in his early 30s, with tired eyes and a friendly smile. He was holding a coffee cup and had his laptop bag slung over his shoulder. He looked as exhausted as she felt. "That's very kind of you to offer," the receptionist said, looking relieved. "We do have executive suites with separate sleeping areas. Would that work for both of you?" Maya hesitated. Sharing a hotel room with a complete stranger wasn't exactly what she had in mind. But she looked around the crowded lobby and saw at least 20 other people waiting to check in. The nearest hotel was probably miles away, and she had an early morning presentation to prepare for. "I'm Ryan, by the way," the stranger said, extending his hand. "I promise I'm not weird. I'm a financial analyst from Portland, here for the marketing symposium. You can check my conference badge and everything." There was something honest about his face that made Maya relax slightly. "Maya. I'm from Seattle. Also here for the symposium. So we're basically colleagues," Ryan said with a grin. "Look, I totally understand if you're not comfortable with this. I can go find another hotel. But the receptionist is right. Those suites are pretty big, and honestly, I'm so tired I'll probably just crash immediately anyway." Maya thought about it for another moment. The receptionist was already pulling up the suite information on her screen. It did look spacious, with a living room area separating 2 bedroom spaces. And there was something about Ryan that seemed trustworthy. Maybe it was the fact that he'd offered to leave if she was uncomfortable. "Okay," Maya finally said. "Let's do it. But I'm taking the bedroom closest to the door." Ryan laughed. "Deal. You get first dibs on everything." 20 minutes later, they were riding up the elevator to the 7th floor. The silence wasn't uncomfortable, just the quiet of 2 tired travelers who'd made a practical decision. When they entered the suite, Maya was relieved to see it was even bigger than the photos suggested. The 2 bedrooms were on opposite ends, with a full living room, kitchenette, and bathroom in between. "This is actually pretty nice," Ryan said, setting his bag down. "Way better than the regular room I booked." Maya walked to her bedroom and was pleased to find it had its own small bathroom attached. She came back out to find Ryan already setting up his laptop on the dining table. "I have to review some slides for tomorrow," he explained. "But I'll keep the volume down. Feel free to use the TV or whatever you need." "Thanks," Maya said. She grabbed her things and headed to her room, but something made her pause. "Hey, Ryan. Thanks for being cool about this. I know it's weird for both of us." He looked up from his computer and smiled. "No problem. We're both adults just trying to get through a work trip. Plus, there's room service. Want to split an order of fries or something? I'm starving." Maya found herself smiling back. "You know what? That actually sounds perfect." As she unpacked her clothes and laid out her outfit for tomorrow's presentation, Maya realized the situation wasn't nearly as awkward as she'd expected. Through the door, she could hear Ryan talking on the phone with someone, probably a colleague, discussing presentation strategies. His voice was calm and professional. It was kind of nice, actually, having another person around. Hotel rooms could feel lonely sometimes. An hour later, there was a knock on the suite door. Room service had arrived with their order of fries, chicken wings, and 2 sodas. Maya came out of her room, having changed into comfortable sweatpants and a t-shirt. Ryan had also changed into casual clothes and was setting up plates on the coffee table. "I hope you don't mind. I ordered extra wings," he said. "Figured we could both use the comfort food after a long day." Nut. They sat on opposite ends of the couch, the food between them. At first, they ate in silence. But then Ryan asked about her presentation topic. Maya explained she was speaking about social media strategies for small businesses. Ryan's eyes lit up. "No way. I'm presenting on budget allocation for digital marketing. We're basically covering complementary topics." And just like that, the ice was completely broken. They spent the next 2 hours talking about work, comparing notes, and even helping each other refine their presentations. Maya found herself laughing at Ryan's stories about marketing disasters at his previous company. He listened intently when she shared her own experiences. Around midnight, they finally decided to call it a night. As Maya headed to her bedroom, she turned back one more time. "This turned out okay, didn't it?" Ryan grinned. "Better than okay. Good luck tomorrow, Rumi." Maya climbed into bed, surprised at how comfortable she felt. This strange arrangement might just work out after all. Maya woke up to the smell of fresh coffee. For a moment, she forgot where she was. And then the events of yesterday came rushing back. She checked her phone. 6:30 in the morning. Her presentation wasn't until 10, but she wanted to prepare. She got dressed quickly and came out to find Ryan already awake, sitting at the dining table with his laptop and 2 cups of coffee from the in-room machine. "Morning," he said, looking up. "I made coffee. Hope that's okay." "I'm an early riser. Can't help it." "You're a lifesaver," Maya said, gratefully taking the cup he offered. "I need this before I can even think straight." They worked in comfortable silence for a while, each focused on their own tasks. But around 8, Ryan suddenly closed his laptop and leaned back in his chair. "Can I run something by you?" he asked. "I'm stuck on my opening slide and could use a fresh perspective." Maya moved her chair over, and they spent the next 30 minutes working through his presentation together. She pointed out areas where he could strengthen his arguments, and he showed her a few data visualization tricks she hadn't known about. "You're really good at this," Ryan said. "Have you considered consulting work?" "Seriously. You just made my presentation 10 times better." Maya felt herself blush slightly. "Thanks. You're pretty good yourself. That budget framework you showed me is genius." At 9, they headed down to the conference together. The main hall was filling up with attendees, everyone clutching coffee cups and name badges. Maya spotted a few colleagues from her industry and waved. She introduced Ryan to them, and before long, they'd formed a small group discussing the day's sessions. "Are you two working on a joint project?" one of the colleagues asked, noticing how easily Maya and Ryan bounced ideas off each other. "No. We just met yesterday," Ryan said with a laugh. "But after last night's strategy session, maybe we should." The morning sessions were informative, but Maya kept finding herself looking for Ryan in the crowd. During the break, they grabbed lunch together at the conference center's cafe. The conversation flowed easily, moving from work topics to more personal things. Ryan told her about his family back in Portland, his 2 younger sisters who constantly teased him about being the responsible one. "What about you?" he asked. "Any siblings?" "One brother, older. He's a doctor in California. My parents are always comparing us," Maya said, surprising herself with how much she was sharing. "He's the successful one who saves lives. I'm the one who plays with computers." Ryan shook his head. "That's rough. For what it's worth, what you do matters just as much. Small businesses need people like you to survive in today's market." There was something genuine in the way he said it that made Maya's chest feel warm. When was the last time someone had really understood what her work meant to her? At 2 o'clock, it was time for Maya's presentation. She felt nervous as she set up her slides. But then she spotted Ryan in the 3rd row, giving her an encouraging thumbs up. It helped more than she expected. Her presentation went smoothly. She covered her key points, handled questions confidently, and even got a few laughs with her examples. When she finished, the applause felt earned. As she stepped off the stage, Ryan was waiting with a huge grin. "You killed it up there. That case study about the bakery that tripled its revenue? Brilliant." "Thanks," Maya said, feeling genuinely proud. "Your turn is in an hour. You ready?" "Now I am," Ryan said. "After watching you, I feel like I can do this." They grabbed coffee and found a quiet corner where Ryan could review his notes one last time. Maya helped him practice his opening, timing him and offering suggestions. When it was finally time for his presentation, she made sure to sit in the front row. Ryan was a natural speaker. He had a way of making complex financial concepts sound simple and practical. Maya found herself taking notes, genuinely impressed by his expertise. When he finished, she clapped the loudest. That evening, back at the suite, they ordered room service again. This time it was pasta and salad. And they ate while debriefing about the day. Other attendees had approached both of them after their presentations, asking for business cards and discussing potential collaborations. "Today was a good day," Ryan said, raising his soda can in a mock toast. "Here's to accidental roommates who turn out to be pretty cool." Maya clinked her can against his. "I have to admit, when they told me I'd have to share a room, I was panicking. But this has been really nice." "Same here," Ryan agreed. "You know what's funny? I've been coming to these conferences for 5 years. And I usually just stay in my room after the sessions end. This is the first time I've actually enjoyed the social part." "Me too," Maya said softly. "Usually I just order room service alone and watch TV. This is better." They stayed up late again, this time watching a comedy movie on the suite's TV. They sat on the same couch, more relaxed than the night before. When Maya's phone buzzed with a text message, she glanced at it, and her smile faded slightly. "Everything okay?" Ryan asked, noticing her expression change. "Yeah, it's just my ex," Maya said without thinking, then immediately regretted sharing. "Sorry. You don't want to hear about that." "Hey, we're friends now," Ryan said gently. "If you want to talk about it, I'm here. If not, that's cool too." Maya hesitated, then found herself opening up. She told him about David, how they dated for 2 years before she realized they wanted completely different things from life. How he'd wanted her to quit her job and move to his city, never considering that her career mattered too. Ryan listened without interrupting, and when she finished, he said, "Sounds like you made the right choice, even if it was hard." "Thanks," Maya said. "What about you? Any complicated relationship stories?" Ryan laughed. "Oh, I've got a few. But the most recent one taught me something important. I was dating someone who never really saw me. You know? She liked the idea of me, the stable job and the nice guy thing, but she never asked what I actually wanted or cared about." They talked until almost 2 in the morning, sharing stories and discovering they had more in common than they'd realized. Both were perfectionists who struggled with work-life balance. Both loved hiking but never made time for it. Both had moved away from their families for career opportunities and sometimes felt lonely because of it. When they finally said goodnight, Maya lay in bed thinking about how strange life could be. 24 hours ago, she'd been stressed about sharing a room with a stranger. Now, she couldn't imagine how boring this trip would have been without Ryan. The next morning started the same way, with coffee and comfortable conversation. But there was something different in the air. Maya noticed how Ryan's eyes lingered on her smile when she laughed. She caught herself paying attention to the way his hands moved when he explained something he was passionate about. The conference sessions that day were less interesting to both of them. They kept finding excuses to skip the boring panels and grab coffee instead. During one break, they discovered a quiet rooftop terrace that most attendees didn't know about. "This is way better than sitting in another presentation about email marketing trends," Ryan said, leaning against the railing and looking out at the city. Maya stood beside him, close enough that their arms almost touched. "I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm glad the hotel messed up my reservation." Ryan turned to look at her. "Yeah? Yeah," Maya said, meeting his eyes. This whole trip has been different because of you. Better. There was a moment of charged silence. Ryan opened his mouth to say something. But then a group of other conference attendees burst onto the terrace, laughing loudly and breaking the spell. They spent the rest of the day attending sessions together. But Maya's mind kept wandering. She noticed little things about Ryan now. The way he held doors open. Not just for her, but for everyone. How he always made sure to include quieter people in group conversations. The genuine way he complimented people's ideas. That evening, they decided to skip the conference networking dinner and explore the city instead. They found a small restaurant a few blocks from the hotel. The kind of place with handwritten menus and mismatched chairs that somehow felt more authentic than the polished hotel restaurants. Over dinner, their conversation went deeper. Ryan told her about his dream of eventually starting his own consulting firm, but how scared he was to leave the security of his current job. Maya shared her own fears about never being good enough, about always being compared to her perfect older brother. "You know what I think?" Ryan said, reaching across the table without seeming to realize it. His hand stopped just short of hers. "I think you're harder on yourself than anyone else could ever be. From what I've seen these past few days, you're incredibly talented and kind and interesting." Maya felt her heart speed up. "You really think so?" "I know so," Ryan said firmly. Then, he seemed to catch himself, pulling his hand back. "Sorry. I didn't mean to get all serious on you." "No, I needed to hear that," Maya said quietly. "Thank you." They walked back to the hotel slowly, neither wanting the evening to end. The night air was cool, and the city lights created a magical atmosphere. When they reached the hotel lobby, they lingered by the elevators. "One more day," Ryan said, and Maya couldn't tell if he sounded happy or sad about it. "Yeah," she replied. "Tomorrow's the last day of the conference." In the elevator, they stood closer than necessary. Back in the suite, neither of them went straight to their bedrooms. Instead, they ended up on the couch again. But this time there was a different energy between them. "Can I tell you something?" Maya said suddenly. "And you promise not to think I'm weird?" "I already know you're weird," Ryan teased. "You put ketchup on your eggs," Maya laughed, swatting his arm. "Shut up." "No, seriously. I just wanted to say that these past few days have been really special to me. I know we were basically forced into this situation, but I'm really glad it happened." Ryan's expression softened. "I'm glad too. And for the record, you're not weird. Or maybe you are. But in the best way." They stayed up talking again, but the conversation felt different now. There were longer pauses, moments where their eyes met and held. At one point, Ryan brushed a strand of hair from Maya's face, and neither of them acknowledged it even though her breath caught. Around 1 a.m, Maya yawned. "I should probably get some sleep. We have those morning sessions tomorrow." "Right," Ryan said, but he didn't move. "Maya, can I ask you something?" "Of course." He seemed to struggle with his words. "Do you ever feel like you meet someone and it just clicks? Like you've known them way longer than you actually have?" Maya's heart was pounding now. "Yeah, I do. I feel like that right now." "Actually," Ryan smiled, but there was something vulnerable in his expression. "Me too. And I know this is complicated because we live in different cities, and we just met and this whole thing is kind of crazy. But I just wanted you to know that." "I'm glad you told me," Maya said softly. They said goodnight. But as Maya lay in bed, she couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about Ryan's words, about the way he looked at her, about how natural everything felt between them. She heard him moving around in his room, probably having the same restless night. The next morning came too quickly. It was their last full day at the conference, and both of them seemed quieter than usual. They went through their morning routine, but there was an unspoken sadness hanging over everything. At the conference, they tried to enjoy the final sessions, but Maya kept catching herself watching Ryan instead of paying attention to the speakers. During lunch, they ran into some of the people they'd met earlier in the week. "You two make such a good team," one woman said. "Are you sure you're not working together? The chemistry is obvious." Maya and Ryan exchanged glances. After the group dispersed, Ryan turned to her. She's not wrong, you know. We do work well together. Yeah, we do, Maya agreed. The final evening session was a networking cocktail hour. Maya and Ryan stood together, making small talk with other attendees, but they kept gravitating back to each other. As the event wound down, they made their way back to the suite one last time. Tomorrow morning, they'd both be checking out and heading home, back to their separate lives in different cities. The thought made Maya's chest ache in a way she hadn't expected. I don't want this to end, she said quietly, as they entered the suite. Ryan stopped and looked at her. Neither do I. They stood in the middle of the living room, the weight of goodbye already pressing down on them. Tomorrow would change everything, and both of them knew it. The morning sun filtered through the curtains, and Maya opened her eyes slowly. For a moment, she just lay there, aware that this was her last morning in this suite, her last morning waking up knowing Ryan was just in the next room. The thought made her chest feel tight. She got up and went through her morning routine, but everything felt heavier today. When she came out to the living room, Ryan was already there with coffee, but he looked like he hadn't slept much. His eyes were tired, and his smile didn't quite reach them. Morning, he said, handing her a cup. Last day. Don't remind me, Maya said, sitting down beside him on the couch. They sat in silence for a while, both of them knowing they needed to talk, but not sure how to start. Finally, Ryan set down his coffee cup and turned to face her. Maya, I need to say something before we leave here and go back to real life, he began. These past few days have been incredible. You've been incredible. And I know this started as just a weird hotel mix-up, but somewhere along the way, it became something more, at least for me. Maya felt her heart racing. For me too. The thing is, Ryan continued, I live in Portland. You live in Seattle. That's a 3-hour drive. We both have demanding jobs, and I don't want to be that person who makes promises and then life gets busy and it all falls apart. So what are you saying? Maya asked, even though she was afraid of the answer. Ryan ran his hand through his hair, clearly struggling. I'm saying, I don't know. I don't know how to make this work, but I also don't know how to just say goodbye and pretend this didn't happen. Before Maya could respond, her phone buzzed on the table. She glanced at it and saw David's name flash across the screen. Her ex was calling. She let it go to voicemail, but Ryan had seen it. Is that your ex? He asked carefully. Yeah, Maya admitted. He's been texting me for the past few days. I haven't responded. He wants to talk about getting back together. She saw something flicker across Ryan's face. Hurt? Resignation? Maybe you should talk to him, he said quietly. Maybe that's the easier path. You know? You're already in the same city. You already know each other. Is that what you want? Maya asked, feeling frustrated now. For me to go back to someone who never really understood me? No, Ryan said firmly. But I also don't want to be the reason you make a complicated choice. Long distance is hard, Maya. Really hard. What if we try and it doesn't work? What if the distance kills whatever this is between us? What if it doesn't? Maya countered. What if we don't try, and we spend the rest of our lives wondering what could have been? They stared at each other, the tension between them almost unbearable. Then, Ryan's phone rang. He glanced at it and sighed. It's my office. I need to take this. He stepped into his bedroom, and Maya could hear his professional voice through the door, discussing some crisis that needed his attention. She looked down at her own phone and saw 3 more texts from David. She opened them without thinking. I made a mistake letting you go. Can we please talk? I've been thinking about you constantly. I'm willing to compromise on things. Please give me another chance. Maya closed her eyes. 2 months ago, she would have been thrilled to receive these messages. She'd cried for weeks after their breakup, convinced she'd made a terrible mistake. But now, reading David's words, she felt nothing. Or rather, she felt absolutely certain that going back would be wrong. Because in just 3 days, Ryan had shown her what it felt like to be truly seen. He'd asked about her dreams, listened to her fears, celebrated her successes. He'd made her laugh and challenged her thinking and made her feel like she was enough exactly as she was. When Ryan came back out, he looked stressed. "I'm sorry. There's a major problem with a client account. I need to get on my laptop and handle this." "Of course," Maya said. "Do what you need to do." She went to her bedroom and started packing her things, trying not to let the sadness overwhelm her. Through the door, she could hear Ryan on a video call, his voice tense as he worked through whatever crisis had come up. This was real life, she thought. This was what would always happen. Work interruptions, distance, responsibilities, pulling them in different directions. An hour later, there was a knock on her bedroom door. "Maya, can we talk?" She opened the door to find Ryan looking exhausted but determined. "I'm sorry about that." Crisis averted. "But it reminded me of something." "What's that?" "That life is always going to be complicated," Ryan said. "Work emergencies will happen. Distance is real. Logistics are hard. But you know what else I realized while I was on that call?" "What?" "That the only thing I could think about was making sure I finished in time to have this conversation with you. That nothing about that client problem mattered as much as figuring out what we're going to do about this." He gestured between them. Maya felt tears prick her eyes. "Ryan, I don't want to say goodbye and pretend this didn't matter. You matter. You matter to me too," he said, stepping closer. "So here's what I'm thinking. It's crazy and impractical and probably complicated. But what if we try? What if we do the long-distance thing? Seattle to Portland isn't that far. We could visit on weekends. Video calls. Make it work. You'd really want to try that?" Maya asked. "I'd try anything to keep you in my life," Ryan said simply. Maya closed the distance between them and hugged him tightly. He wrapped his arms around her, and they stood there for a long moment, both of them holding on like they could stop time. When they finally pulled apart, Maya said, "I need to tell you something. David has been texting me, asking to get back together." She felt Ryan tense slightly. And I realized that what I felt for him was nothing compared to what I feel when I'm with you. These 3 days have been more real than 2 years with him." Ryan cupped her face gently. "Are you sure? Because once we do this, I'm all in. I don't do things halfway." "I'm sure," Maya said. "I'm terrified, but I'm sure." They spent the rest of the morning together, making plans. Ryan would visit Seattle in 2 weeks. Maya would come to Portland the week after. They'd video call every evening. They'd be honest about when things were hard. They'd try, really try, to make this work. At noon, they had to check out. They stood in the hotel lobby with their bags, neither wanting to be the first to leave. "This isn't goodbye," Ryan said firmly. "This is see you soon." "See you soon," Maya repeated. And then she did something brave. She stepped forward and kissed him. Right there in the crowded hotel lobby. It was soft and sweet, and full of promise. When they pulled apart, Ryan was grinning. "Definitely see you soon." They went their separate ways to catch their flights, but as Maya sat in the airport, she felt different than she had 4 days ago. Scared, yes. Uncertain about the future, absolutely. But also hopeful in a way she hadn't felt in years. Her phone buzzed. A text from Ryan. "Already miss you. Also, I'm calling dibs on picking the next hotel we stay at. Preferably one that doesn't mess up reservations." Maya laughed and typed back, "Deal, but only if it has a couch as comfortable as that suite." As her flight was called, Maya looked at her phone one more time. David had texted again, but she finally had the clarity to respond. "I appreciate you reaching out, but I've moved on. I hope you find what you're looking for. Take care." Then she opened a new message to Ryan. "Boarding now. Talk tonight?" His response came immediately. "Counting on it." 3 weeks had passed since the conference, and Maya was starting to understand what Ryan had meant about long distance being hard. The video calls were wonderful, but they weren't the same as sitting on a couch together talking until 2 in the morning. The weekend visits were amazing, but saying goodbye at the airport each time felt like ripping off a bandage. Still, they were making it work. Ryan had visited Seattle twice, and Maya had gone to Portland once. They'd established routines, inside jokes over text, and a rhythm that felt sustainable even if it wasn't easy. But tonight, as Maya prepared for Ryan's third visit to Seattle, she felt nervous in a way she hadn't before. They'd been dancing around a conversation they needed to have about where this was actually going. Was this sustainable long-term? Would one of them eventually need to move? What did forever look like for two people living in different cities? Her doorbell rang right on time. Ryan stood there with flowers and that smile that still made her heart skip. "Hi," he said, and the nervousness in his voice told her he was thinking about the same things she was. "Hi yourself," Maya replied, accepting the flowers and pulling him inside. "How was the drive?" "Long, but worth it," Ryan said, dropping his bag and immediately wrapping her in a hug. "I missed you." They ordered takeout and settled on her couch, falling into their comfortable pattern of sharing details about work, friends, and life. But Maya could feel the unspoken tension building. Finally, during a lull in conversation, Ryan set down his food and turned to face her. "Maya, we need to talk about something." Her stomach dropped. Those words were never good. "Okay, I've been offered a promotion," Ryan said slowly. "It's a big one. Director level, more money, leading a whole team." "Ryan, that's amazing," Maya said, genuinely happy for him. "You deserve it." "The thing is," he continued, and now she could hear the worry in his voice, "they want me to relocate to their San Francisco office. It's a huge opportunity. The kind of thing I've been working toward for years. San Francisco. Even farther from Seattle than Portland." Maya felt something crack in her chest. "When do you need to decide?" 2 weeks, Ryan said. "But Maya, before you think I'm just going to take it and leave, I need you to know something. This past month has been the happiest I've been in years. These drives, the video calls, the stolen weekends, all of it. I don't want to give that up." "But you also can't give up your career," Maya said quietly. "I would never ask you to do that." "I know you wouldn't. That's one of the things I love about you," Ryan said, then seemed to realize what he'd just said. "I mean, that is, I care about you a lot." "And you love me?" Maya asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Ryan took a deep breath. "Yeah, I do. I know it's fast and crazy, but I fell in love with you somewhere between sharing hotel fries and listening to you talk about your dreams at 2 in the morning. And now I don't know what to do because I love you, but I also have this opportunity, and I'm terrified of losing you, or holding you back, or messing this up." Maya felt tears streaming down her face. "I love you too, and I'm also terrified." They held each other, both of them crying a little, both of them scared of what came next. After a while, Maya pulled back and wiped her eyes. "Okay, let's think about this logically," she said. "San Francisco is what? A 2-hour flight from Seattle? We've been managing a 3-hour drive. We could make that work. But for how long?" Ryan asked. "Maya, I don't want to be one of those couples who stays together out of stubbornness until we're both miserable. I want a real future with you. I want to wake up next to you every day, not just on weekends. I want to build a life together." "So what are you saying?" Maya asked, her heart pounding. "I'm saying," Ryan took her hands, "what if you came to San Francisco with me?" Maya's mind raced. Leave Seattle? Leave her job, her apartment, her life? "Ryan, I can't just uproot everything." I know it's huge," Ryan said quickly. "But hear me out. You've talked about wanting to start your own consulting business. San Francisco is full of startups that need exactly what you offer. You could build something amazing there. We could build something amazing there. Together." "This is crazy," Maya said. "We've known each other for less than 2 months. I know. And if you need more time, I understand. If you say no, I'll figure out a way to make long distance from San Francisco work. But Maya, I'm all in on us. I want you to know that I'm willing to fight for this, whatever that looks like." Maya stood up and walked to her window, looking out at the Seattle skyline she'd called home for 5 years. Everything Ryan was saying was crazy. Moving to a new city for someone she'd just met, leaving behind her job and her friends and everything familiar. It was impulsive and risky and completely unlike her. But then again, sharing a hotel room with a stranger had been risky too. And that had turned into the best decision she'd ever made. She turned back to Ryan, who was watching her with hopeful, terrified eyes. "Can I tell you what I'm thinking?" "Please," he said. "I'm thinking that the safest choice would be to stay here. Keep my job, my apartment. Try to make long-distance work with you in San Francisco." That's what old Maya would have done. Play it safe. Don't take risks. Stick with what's comfortable. Ryan's face fell slightly, but he nodded. "I understand. But I'm also thinking," Maya continued, "that the old Maya would never have shared a hotel room with a stranger. She wouldn't have opened up about her fears and dreams to someone she'd just met. She wouldn't have taken a chance on love that might not work out." Ryan stood up, hope creeping back into his expression. "And I'm thinking," Maya said, walking back to him, "that this new Maya, the one who took a chance on you, she wants to be brave. She wants to build something amazing. With you, are you saying?" Ryan started. "I'm saying yes," Maya said. "I'm saying let's do this crazy thing. Let's move to San Francisco together. Let's start consulting businesses and build a life, and see what happens when two people who met because of a hotel mix-up decide to bet everything on each other." Ryan pulled her into a kiss, and this one was different from the gentle kiss in the hotel lobby. This one was full of promise and commitment, and the thrill of jumping off a cliff together. When they finally pulled apart, Ryan was grinning like a kid on Christmas morning. "You're serious? You really want to do this?" "I'm terrified," Maya admitted. "But yeah, I'm serious. Let's do it." They spent the rest of the evening making plans. Maya would give her notice at work, sublet her apartment, and start reaching out to potential clients in San Francisco. Ryan would accept the promotion and find them a place to live. They'd move together in 6 weeks. Later, as they lay on the couch talking about the future, Maya's phone buzzed. It was her mother, calling for their weekly check-in. Maya answered, and within minutes, she found herself telling her mom everything. About Ryan, about San Francisco, about the crazy, impulsive decision she'd just made. She expected her mother to tell her she was being reckless. Instead, her mom said, "You sound happy, sweetheart. Really happy. I haven't heard you sound like this in years. If he makes you this happy, then I think you're making the right choice." After hanging up, Maya looked at Ryan with wonder. "My mom approves. She actually approves." "Of course she does," Ryan said. "You're choosing happiness. That's never the wrong choice." 6 weeks later, Maya stood in a new apartment in San Francisco, boxes everywhere, exhausted from the move. Ryan came up behind her and wrapped his arms around her waist. "Any regrets?" he asked. Maya looked around at the chaos, at the city stretched out beyond their windows, at the life they were about to build together. Not even one. That night, they ordered pizza and sat on the floor of their empty living room, talking about their plans. Maya had already landed 2 consulting clients. Ryan started his new position on Monday. Everything was uncertain and scary and completely different from anything either of them had planned. "You know what's funny?" Maya said. "If that hotel hadn't messed up my reservation, none of this would have happened. We would have stayed in separate rooms, probably never talked beyond a polite hello in the elevator, and gone back to our separate lives." "Best hotel mix-up ever," Ryan agreed. "Maybe we should send them a thank you card. Or we could just live an amazing life together," Maya suggested. "That seems like a better thank you." "I fee not." Ryan raised his pizza slice in a toast. "To hotel mix-ups and taking chances and building something amazing together." "Well," Maya clinked her slice against his, "to new beginnings." As they sat there in their empty apartment, surrounded by boxes and possibility, Maya realized something. She'd spent so much of her life playing it safe, following the expected path, avoiding risk. But the best things in her life had come from taking chances, from saying yes when everything in her wanted to say no, from being brave enough to believe that sometimes the craziest decisions turn out to be the right ones. And this crazy decision, moving to a new city with someone she'd met just 2 months ago, it felt exactly right. 3 years later, Maya would stand in that same apartment, now filled with furniture and memories, and a life fully lived. And she'd think back to that hotel conference, to the moment when a booking error became the beginning of everything, to the night when she whispered to herself that sometimes one bed and no rules is exactly what you need to find your way home. But she didn't know that yet. Right now, all she knew was that she was exactly where she was supposed to be, with exactly the right person, ready to face whatever came next. Together,